So you've got nothing there. You've never heard the phrase nanny state. Heard any of the shilling in newspapers and on television shows done by mysteriously funded young lobbyists claiming to represent taxpayers. You've never heard any of that. You've never heard any of that. Encountered any of that. There's just you and your brain and this doctor. Are you with me? And your brain and this doctor, Professor Dame Sally Davis. And she is saying today that voluntary agreements with the food industry, to nobody's surprise, had failed to sufficiently reduce sugar and salt consumption. Okay? You, your brain, this doctor. She also tells us that tough action is now needed to save children from a lifetime of ill health. You, your brain, your children, this doctor. And in a challenge to critics, she sadly feels compelled to add, do you want to call that nanny state? If so, I am chief nanny. And that was the phrase. As a society, we have somehow allowed these dark, money-funded lobbyists to make public health debatable. And this is why I think you have to step back. Because even as I say those words, I'm wondering whether I've taken leave of my senses and I'm reporting on a reality that doesn't exist, because reality has been forged and manipulated to make a load of money out of making children obese. Just like the debate was created 50 years ago by people being paid by the people making a lot of money out of encouraging us to get lung cancer by smoking nicotine. Take a step back. You, your brain, this doctor. What on earth is controversial about suggesting that we should subsidize healthy food like fruit and vegetables using monies raised by levies or taxes on unhealthy food like sugar and salt-loaded products? How have we even allowed ourselves to become so completely sheep-like in our following of the loud voices of newspaper columns? Oh, it's the nanny state. But what is? This is a doctor telling us how our children can be healthier and live longer. Obesity is now the second highest cause of cancer in this country. The health complications thrown up by excessive consumption of everything from sugary coffee through to fizzy drinks is immense. Diabetes and a whole host of other diagnoses. She estimates 10,000 deaths in the first 5 years following a cancer diagnosis could be averted. Her thesis is that we have an unbalanced environment. Oh, this is a bit like getting into a bath at the end of a really tough shift, because this is what I've been saying to you for a very long time. I've even written about it in my book. They talk about free choice when they are spending billions and billions of pounds encouraging us to eat this muck, and they're spending diddly squat on discouraging us. And when some self-appointed decent person stands up and starts discouraging us from eating it, what happens? She or he gets shouted down by the people, being paid by the people who make profits out of poisoning our children. There's no such thing as the nanny state. There's just science. And when scientists explain science to the rest of us, we should just listen. It's not just in the context of Brexit and MMR vaccines and global warming, although all three of those things are all supported by the people who are paid by the people who profit out of our pain. All three of them. You go to that Tufton Street address, you'll find an outfit dedicated to taxpayers, global warming, and Brexit. What a flipping coincidence that the people paid by the people who profit from our pain all work under one roof. So my question to you this morning, how has it happened? And I'd love you to talk to me from the other side on this one. I'd love to think, as I just calmly but passionately explain to you the efforts that go into poisoning our children, I'd love to think that you just went, oh, flipping heck, I never thought of it like that, James. I'm the kind of person who would have once reached for the phrase nanny state. Here's the thing, I am a person who would once have reached for the phrase nanny state. I think it's very, very easy. The more privileged you are, in terms of education and wealth, the easier it is to conclude that you don't need the government telling you what's healthy and what's unhealthy. And then I'll remind you of that woman that we often refer to when discussing these sort of issues, who kind of hears vague whispers from the likes of Jamie Oliver or the likes of Dame Sally Davis, or on a tiny, tiny scale, the likes of me, because she's got the radio on. And they hear these whispers that that's not very good for you. That's really bad for your kid. That's really unhealthy. Give him some water. Don't give him cola. And she gets off the bus with the baby in the pushchair. And the bus shelter has got a massive advert for fried chicken on it. And the billboard over the road has got a massive advert for fizzy pop on it. And on her walk home, which is a mile and a half, in some parts of town, she walks past 13, 14, 15 junk food outlets. And even without knowing that it's happening, by a process, if you will, of intellectual osmosis, she gets home and those whispers have been silenced. Because if it was that bad for my baby, they wouldn't be flogging it everywhere. It wouldn't be stuck on the bus shelters. It wouldn't be on the billboards. There wouldn't be 15 of these shots on my short walk home. They wouldn't be piling it up by the tills in the supermarket so that as a result of pester power, I end up buying my child a chocolate bar the size of a small bungalow. By the time she gets home, the whispers have been silenced. And when people like Dame Sally Davis reach for a megaphone or an amplifier and start telling us that we're poisoning our children, what do the people who are paid by the people who profit from our pain do? They try and shout her down. So my question to you is this. How have we allowed that to happen? 0345 6060 973. And how do we start fighting back? Because I'm sick of hearing phrases like political correctness and nanny state to describe measures and attitudes designed to make us happier and healthier and nicer to each other. How do we start fighting back? And how the hell did we end up in thrall and in hock to the people who pay the people who profit from our pain? It's 11:17.
LBC.
Okay, keys, handbag, and off to work I...